Hi guys, Carolyn here. This is my series exploring spiritual beliefs. So in this series, what I do is I look at different people's belief systems on spirituality, maybe something with a religious undertone, a metaphysical practice, a witchy belief or practice, just anything under that spectrum. And I kind of just give my opinion on it and I kind of decipher it. And why did I decide I wanted to do this? Well, as somebody who's been in the spiritual community and done this type of work for a very long time, the more you do it, the more you realize that people are literally like children and they're sponges. And people are searching for healing and answers and relief from grief and pain, that often they just take whatever they read and they run with it. And so I think it's really important that we look at these different belief systems and we kind of question and we kind of talk about them. Now, I have been working as an intuitive medium for many, many years. So lots of my thoughts on this is based off of literally my interaction with spirit and doing those readings. I've been doing channeled tarot readings since I was a teenager. I've been teaching energy work for many, many years. These are my personal thoughts. These are my personal beliefs. These are the things that I have acquired over time through not just my personal experiences, but conversations with others, teachings from others, and just really trying to be open and not judgmental to all different kinds of beliefs. I will say I'm a very entertaining person and I'm going to be very real when I'm reading these. And so some of my reactions, you might think, wow, that's not what I expected, but that's just who I am, and I'm going to be authentic. Some stuff I might slightly agree with, some stuff I might disagree with, some might kind of change my own interpretation and thoughts on it, and some stuff I might just think is ridiculous, and I'm going to let that be known. So this is not coming from a place of ego, it's coming from a place of wanting to have an open conversation and just kind of give different perspectives. That way people can watch these and form their own opinions, because there's my truth, there's your truth, and there's the universal truth. So you will also find in the spiritual world that there are many things that are believed to be like sacred truths that most of us abide by and believe in. And then there are personal truths. So a quick example of this is, pretty much everybody agrees that Archangel Michael is the archangel of protection, right? That's not really something that people argue. That's something that's kind of just a belief system across the boards. Now, it's my personal belief system that Michael doesn't have to work with me unless he wants to. That angels do not have to come when you call them. Again, that is my personal belief. That doesn't mean that's a universal truth. So when I'm speaking in these videos and I'm discussing these things, just keep in mind that I'm not saying that my truth or my belief system is the final and is the main, concept, and that anybody else that's disagreeing with me, that they're wrong and I'm right. It's just to open up a chain of communication. So I hope you enjoy. Please interact, please comment. This is for learning for everybody. So I'm happy to be here. Hello. Okay. Today I am reading an article called Reincarnation and the Afterlife. And I'm going to be reading it. And then as I'm reading, I'm going to give my thoughts. So get ready, guys. Okay, Reincarnation and the Afterlife. So where do we go after we make our transition from this world to the next? Edgar Cayce was once asked if everyone has a different version of what heaven is. Who's correct? His answer, they all are. Pause. I remember as a child getting in trouble in church. I was raised Lutheran for context. And I remember saying that all the gods were the same and there was just different interpretations of them based off of different cultures. And they did not like it when a little girl said that in church. So I would agree with that we all just have different concepts of God, but it all came from like the base core, right? And then over time, cultures and religions have spread this central belief out and made it fit their own agendas, if you will, right? But in the end, it's all one heaven. So according to Cayce, where you end up is based on who you are and the beliefs you held about reality when you were on Earth. Okay, let's see where he's going here. In short, there's a Christian heaven, a Muslim heaven, a Hindu heaven, etc. Excuse me? I'm sorry, what? No. This is something I'm actually just going to highly disagree with. There's one heaven. You think that heaven discriminates? You think that heaven separates people? You think that when I'm not going to be in heaven, I'm not a Christian. So when I go to heaven, there's not going to be Christian people there? That's what that says to me. That says to me, if that means that you're only going to the heaven where the same people that have the same belief systems as you are going to be. Well, sorry, then most of us would be fucked, because how many people in your life have the exact same belief systems as you? Or, I mean, fuck, even your parents to you, right? Is it the same thing? Like your friends, like, I already rubbed the wrong way. Okay. So no matter how you were raised in terms of religion, there is some truth to what you have been taught about the afterlife. I agree with that. One thing most seem to agree on is that we are spirits and that Earth is a learning school and that the higher planes prepare you for that learning before you incarnate. Let's read that again. That Earth is a learning school. I agree with that. And that the higher planes prepare you for that learning before you incarnate. You know, I heard somebody ask a question once to Abraham Hicks, and they said basically, like, why do we not come with all of the knowledge that we previously had? Like, why do we not have that? And basically it was like, because that would ruin like this experience in our life, right? Like, it's the same idea. Like they say, you know, you don't eat all the yummy foods your entire life at one time because it would ruin part of the experience. So I think that when we do innately like know things or feel things, or you know, kind of like the first time I practiced energy work, I just like knew where to put my hands and I knew what to do. I think that that is something that I brought with me from a different life that I had experienced in that life. But I don't feel like that was something that like was given to me to like prepare for this life, if you will. The word reincarnation derives from Latin, literally meaning entering the flesh again. I don't think I knew that. After our physical bodies expire, Abraham uses the term expire like that, we as souls never die. Agreed. We shed our external layer, which is our physical bodies, through the energies. Though the energies transform, our thoughts, desires, and spiritual levels remain with us. So when we pass this world, we travel to the fourth dimension, or what is known as the astral plane. There are other planes and dimensions that exist beyond the astral fourth dimension as well. But as far as the fourth, there are 3 levels. Excuse me? Okay, we're going to pause there. So this is how dimensions work. We walk around living every day in the 3D. This is the 3rd dimension. That's what we're in, right? So my belief system, what I've been taught, what I've learned is the 4D is like kind of like the step up where you haven't actually fully ascended to heaven. So we will say that the 5th dimension is like the lowest level of heaven, right? So think of the TV show, The Ghost Whisperer, and like these ghosts have not moved on. My opinion is that is the 4th dimension. So the 4th dimension is kind of people, energies, spirits, beings, whatever, entities that are stuck between the earthly plane, the 3D, who haven't fully ascended, right? They're, if you want to call that the astral plane, that's what he called it, until the 5D. So the 5D and above is when the spirit has actually moved on into the heavens, if you will. Okay. So I don't know what they mean when they say like we travel to the 4th dimension. Like, I guess that would be like the stopping point. You know, when my father passed, he stuck around for about a week and a half, 2 weeks after his passing, which is a different story. I could talk about that some other time and like why I think that and why I believe that. So he might have kind of been like walking that plane for a while. Well, I'll just say this, you know, it wasn't that he really didn't know that he was dead, but there was people that were around after he died that he wanted to spend time with and be with. And so that's why he kind of stuck around. And then when that person was like, you need to go, that's when he decided to go. Okay, we had a change of scenery. Okay, so as I was saying, he was kind of stuck in that like 4D, if you will, because he just needed to understand what was happening, and then he moved on to the 5D. I would disagree that we travel to the 4D. I think that most people probably just go right to heaven. I don't know where this idea that we would stop. Like, that seems very much like, don't come at me when I get this wrong, but is that like the Catholic belief where there's like an in-between, not purgatory, but isn't there like an in-between thing that Catholics believe? Okay, but as far as the 4D, there are levels. There are 3 levels. So they're saying there are 3 levels in the 4th dimension. Interesting. And each of these levels are schools and classes to continue to grow and learn. I'm sorry, but what the fuck are you talking about? You think we die and then we go to the fourth dimension. So we're in the 3D, we die, and we pop into the 4D, and we have to go to school. That there's soul classes and things for us to learn before we ascend to heaven. Do you guys hear that? That sounds very strange to me. For instance, if you were a musician or an artist, you will continue to be so. These realms are not so unlike Earth-like, but the sensations are more intense and powerful. Bro, what are you talking about? So when we die, all of the earthly shit falls away, and we are our soul in heaven. We still have all the beautiful, graceful essences of who we are, but we're not our souls aren't practicing making art and becoming a better artist in heaven, right? Like, that's a very interesting thought process and concept to me. Like, you know, I think especially if you believe in reincarnation, your soul has lived multiple times and there's different parts of you. Yeah, I don't know what they mean by this. Their sensations are more intense and powerful. So you're making it sound like we're still living like an earth-like existence once our soul crosses over. And I would highly, highly disagree with that. The lower astral planes are where individuals end up who have lived a life producing very low vibrations, or one would interpret living a dark life. It is not about punishment. I think this would be like the idea of like, if somebody was like a really demonic, awful person, that maybe they would go like down to like a lower dimension. You know, and some might believe that there's like different pockets of like the 5D, but the fact of the matter is like attracts like. Life of producing low vibrations will attract you to a place that is low and dense based on your thoughts, which in turn cause you to act. However, even when in this realm, we can learn from our past actions through the help of our guides to raise our higher levels. Again, what the fuck are you talking about? That's like saying that like somebody who had addiction on earth doesn't get to go to the same heaven as everybody else because they were practicing lower vibrational things. Or maybe somebody who just had a fucking hard life and was kind of an asshole. Like, you're saying that they don't get to go to the 5D, they don't get to be in heaven. I'm also confused as to like, how long are we sticking around in these 3 levels of the 4th D before we do get to go to heaven, right? And I highly disagree that our souls are in this level and that our guides and are trying to, like we die, we get stuck in the 4D, and then our guides are like trying to help our soul get better so then we can go to heaven. When we die, that earthly shit falls away. That is why ghosts don't hold grudges, guys. People are always so worried that, you know, their loved ones, that humans have regrets about the people that have passed, and the people that have passed, they don't have those regrets because those negative emotions, they don't carry them with them into the 5D, right? Like, all of those things that don't feel good, they disappear, they go away, right? Like, spirit might come through because they do want to apologize, because that's part of their soul needing to like kind of make amends from the afterlife, or maybe they know that you needed to hear it, but they're not suffering. They're not, I don't know, man. The next part of the astral plane is the middle astral planes. This is where the majority end up immediately after passing. Again, but this is saying that this is like this weird 4D that they don't actually ascend to heaven, if you will. Those who lived a relatively positive life but still have material attachments to earth-like life end up here. That's literally every fucking human being. How many of you have ever met or ever know a true walking ascended master on this earth who has completely shed everything? And most of you that think that you know a highly enlightened person like that, well, if you see them all over fucking social media, then they're not that person. It is not my job in this lifetime or my want to become an ascended fucking master. I'm here to have fun and enjoy my life. It's not my goal. So the realm here is extremely pleasant. It would be considered heaven to many. Well, that would be the 5D to me, because the 4D is a middle astral plane. The 4D is in between reality and fully going to spirit. In fact, middle astral plane appears very much clean and picturesque surroundings that we would see on Earth, such as streams, green grass, beautiful birds, beautiful buildings, birds flying, etc. So this person is saying that heaven is just like a pretty outdoor scenery You know what that makes me think of? True Blood, where like the fairies go. They're just like frolicking around. Like, with all due respect, I think heaven is whatever it means to you, and like whatever heaven is to you. Like, it's not like, I don't think it's like an earthly looking type place, because our souls comprehend at such a higher, different level that like that's, they don't need to see the trees and the grass for comfort, right? Our souls just like know when we're there what comfort is, and like that we're supposed to be. Now, that's not saying that like when somebody passes, they're not going to be greeted by these things, because like people and things like that. But I mean, I feel like once we pass and our soul goes, like it knows that it's safe and it doesn't need these like earthly things to make it feel comforted. The last section in the astral plane is the higher astral planes, and it's the least dense. This plane is free of any type of materialism, and the vibrations here are extremely high. I'm sorry, but there is no materialism in heaven. So this is kind of contradicting now. So like you're saying people that are in this, I just keep going back to this idea that you think people are stuck in the 4D. Like that's so weird to me. Like that is like your soul has not gone to fucking heaven. What are you talking about? And that you think that there's materialism. You think that when we die, our souls have some sort of materialistic thoughts still? If you are I would say not even 10% of people get stuck in that and don't ascend almost immediately or within a couple of days or weeks, right? People that had like a lot of shit that they didn't finish on Earth, they might stick around in that plane because they're needing to understand things before they move on. But materialism? This is the plane that is filled with pure love, light, and joy, and is actually a step closer to the 5th dimension, which is one of unity consciousness. I'm sorry, when anything above us, it is all filled with pure light, love, and joy. So you're saying that people are passing, and you don't think that when people die that they're not all experiencing pure light, love, and joy, that as soon as we go back to source spirit, that's not what we experience? Because I think that it is. That's actually a really scary, negative thought process. And also, the realm that you're talking about is the 5D. So this is confusing to me. Like, it's like they're making up these 3 layers before you get to the 5D, which, no. I don't know anybody this is all new to me. I've never heard it taught this way. In the 5th dimension, this is the beginning of realizing the true nature of ourselves as spirit beings who are multidimensional. This is where many of the ascended masters and angels exist. Again, that's why when you fucking die, you go to the 5D. Boom, we're dead. Oh shit, this is it. I'm a soul. And then we see everything, we know everything. We're in that space. We're not stuck in this like in between where we're being a musician and having to heighten our skills. And like, you don't have to learn more after you die before you get to go to heaven, guys. This is where many of the ascended masters and angels that exist. Honestly, ascended masters and angels were way higher. They're in way higher dimensions than the 5D. Way higher dimensions. We've had many lives and in many places. The ultimate goal of our souls is to evolve to a state of grace and illumination. Not every soul's ultimate goal is to fully ascend. That's why, okay, I'll say that different. Ideally, like our souls keep coming back and reincarnating because there's more lessons and more experiences they want to have. I guess I could slightly agree that like in the end, like that's what our soul wants, but in the same breath, we might die and decide this is all that I need. I don't want to come back again. That doesn't mean that soul has ascended like the ascended master type level. Like a soul can decide that they're done learning and they don't want to come back even if they haven't reached that highest level. The ultimate, and this kind of work will require multiple lifetimes to get it right, so to speak, which, I mean, I guess I could agree with that. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Maybe there are, who fucking knows? Maybe Mother Teresa only lived one lifetime and then she ascended to, her state. Mother Mary, Jesus, those are ascended masters. Do you think that this is a question. Do you guys think that their souls were reincarnated and they had to get it right multiple times? Or do you think that Jesus, the man, lived one incarnation and then his soul evolved into an ascended master? Our souls know when the time is right to return to Earth to master lessons, balance karma, to heal, or carry out a unique mission. I agree with that. However, our souls do not just jump in and return. We actually must take the time in the astral planes to plan out our upcoming incarnations carefully by having in-depth discussions with our spirit guides who will be at our side during our upcoming life. You know, I mean, I believe that we decide who we're going to be when we come back. I believe we decide our parents, our birth chart, all these things, right? And those all, you know, our human design, everything, that is all a part of those things help us learn the lessons or have the experiences, emphasis on there's experiences that our souls need to have for growth. That doesn't mean they're all lessons or trauma or drama. So I do agree with that. But I'm just not really imagining my soul having a meeting up in heaven with all of my, like, spirit guides, because also, like, our guides are different in every lifetime. Like, that's a whole nother conversation to have about spirit guides, but I think that's a thing that we have with our own soul. I don't think that I've never had that thought that my soul is deciding with other spirit, because who are these spirit guides that are in that? Do I have spirit guides that just stay in the astral realm with me? Because, like, my belief system is we have different guides we have guides that are with us our entire lives, and we have guides that come in and out of our lives and guides that are added to our lives, but those guides are not necessarily always with us in every lifetime. Maybe some of my guides were with me when I was a different person, but I don't really think there's a meeting happening in heaven with other people. I think my soul's figuring that shit out for myself. So anyways, that was a reincarnation in the afterlife. Very interesting concepts. Some I agree with, some I actually extremely disagree with, and I find very confusing and don't even make sense. So I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments in the comment section. And if you have an article or a paragraph or a thought or anything that you've read that you would like me to talk about like this, please share it with me because I would love to do so. Thanks.